Greetings and salutations. Oh, beautiful Saturday morning down here in South Texas. I get back from vacation and I hop in this thing to go to work. I mean, I wasn't even home an hour, and my youngest son is pushing me out the door, wants to go to work. So we went to work Sunday night for a few hours. It's okay, I needed the money. Anyway, I got in this thing, started it up right away. Misfire code, running on 6. All sorts of shit didn't work. But after running for a couple minutes, it came back around. I cleared the codes and everything was good. So I went down to the gas station because this thing was empty. It was 97 degrees here. I rolled the windows down because my son was in the car. And when I got done filling it up, I jumped in the car and went to drive away. And I went to roll the windows up and they wouldn't roll up. And after dinking around with it Monday morning for, actually Sunday afternoon, I came back home. I made the delivery. I came back home and I dinked around with it for about an hour. Come to find out, it's lost the ground. Somewhere between the switch panel and the connector where it plugs into the main harness. Probably broke right there in the door where they usually break, you know, when the bellows there. So I get to track that down. So right now I can't roll down the windows. It's kind of a issue. But anyway, a couple days ago I stepped out from around the car and I thought I heard a bird down here in the engine compartment. Let me see if I can duplicate that for you. Where are my keys? I don't know. My keys, I don't know. Of course, now that I got a camera rolling, it's not going to do it. Of course, now I got a camera out. It's not doing it. But it will do it after I drive it for about an hour. So I'll take the camera with me. And when it presents itself, I'll show you what noise it's making. And I've determined it's probably likely either the idler pulley or the tensioner pulley. The bearing sounds dry. It sounds like a bird or something underneath, like chirp, 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 chirp. Now, there's a couple of remedies. I could replace the pulleys. They're readily available. I know it costs me about 40 bucks online, probably more like 80 bucks if I go through the big box store. I could replace the entire tensioner assembly and the belt. They sell kits like that on the Rainforest store for around 80 bucks. Looks like I probably could use a belt. It's not terrible, but I don't know how long this belt's been on here. But I think what I'm going to do for right now, because that trip that I just took with my son cost me a king's ransom. It cost me a small fortune. It was expensive. A trip that usually would cost me between $1,500 and $2,000 cost me about $2,500. Probably closer to $3,000. Started on the first night, a $380 hotel bill in Pahrump, Nevada. I'm not bitter though. But I did find some things I can kind of address while I'm in here. And one of them is these heater hoses. Now, these heater hoses go from a rubber line out of the water pump in the engine block to a hard line, which goes back there to another soft line and into the firewall. Now, normally there's a bridge that goes across the valve cover that these lines can plug into. Ouch, those are hot, ouch. And the same thing down here, there's a bridge that these lines can plug into, and it isolates them and keeps them from rubbing against things. Well, after 23 years, they've gotten pretty brittle and they've broken, and they no longer function. In fact, I threw them away. And sitting here idling, I saw that this thing was just bouncing like a dog shitting fingernails. And what can happen, you see how this is bouncing against this battery box here. And what I want to do is I got this, I believe this is 5/8 heater hose that I split. I actually used this before on the XJ to do a very similar thing to isolate hoses from frame members and wear points. You just take it, you put a slit in it, you slide it over the hose. Can you even see? Probably not. And they're hotter than Hades right now because I've just been sitting here idling for 15 minutes. Ouch. And I mean, there's just so much room in this engine compartment. And you want to position it so that the slit is in the position where you can actually isolate wear points from the hard line. I'll put a couple zip ties around that, cinch them down tight. And I'll probably put another one right here so the hoses ain't rubbing together. And put zip ties around them, cinch them up tight. And really cheap isolators. It's one of the reasons why I don't throw things like that away, because I can use them for stuff like this. Way around them. Both. So yesterday, I was out delivering in this unit, and I was actually delivering children someplace. Picking them up from school, perhaps. That was probably it. Or delivering them to school. I was delivering them to school. And the low coolant light came on. Sure enough, the reservoir was empty. Looked underneath the car, no leaks. As I was trying to get this thing to make the squeak squeak noise, I noticed steam bellowing up from here, and I looked, and that hose clamp right there was a little bit loose, and it was dribbling coolant out that hard line. I forgot that a couple weeks ago one of those lines was leaking, and I cut it and repaired it. And I cut the ferrules off and just put worm drive clamps on and called her a day. Anyway, see my repair here? It's just an isolator that keeps the hard line from rubbing on the battery box. They're tied together now, and it's not shaking like a dog shitting fingernails. I might see if I can find another length of hose and do the same thing back here and zip tie them together so that they're all kind of, can you even see that? Probably not. Where my fingers are. I'll probably do it there too. And I'll bring the camera with me and see if I can figure out what that noise is, or at least show you what that noise is.
8:01 p.m.
There it is. Hear it? Little birdie in there. Little birdie.
Sounds like it's coming from down yonder. It's really hot in there. So maybe I'll wait till tomorrow morning after it's cooled down. Take a look at it. Oh.
72 hours later.
Okie dokie. A couple days later, I've got the idler pulley and the tensioner pulley removed from the tensioner. Okay, here's the difference between the idler and the tensioner pulley. Tensioner pulley's got grooves in it. The idler pulley, the back of the belt rides on this, and then the groove part of the belt rides on this. This is plastic, this is metal. You can buy this whole assembly. It's like 20 bucks. This one too. And just take this one out, put this one in. This is the most common course of action. If you have access to bearings, you could press this out. This one might be a little tough because it's plastic, But you could press this bearing out and put a new bearing in. That's an option. Listen. Whatever grease is in there is dried up. This isn't the bad one. Listen to this. Spins okay, but I can feel the bearings in there. Not great. This is probably the one that's chirping. One thing you can do, I'm going to replace both of these eventually, but not today because I don't have them, and I'm not going to go to the big box store and spend twice as much as I have to. I'm going to buy this stuff on the interwebs. I'm going to see if I can get a pick and pop this little seal cover. This is a sealed bearing. Not supposed to be serviceable, but I think I might be able to pop this little kind of reddish brown thing off this piece of plastic and repack it. Let's see if we could do this. Oh, look at this. Look at that. Awesome. Yeah. Oof. Let's spray a little brake clean in here. Kind of break up that dried up grease. Yeah, get some grease. Where's my grease gun? I feel it dragging that grease in there. Put that one back in. See if I can get this one off. Come on. There. Oof. Ugh. I just sprayed this out of my bearing. Great. I got a little excess grease here, and I'm just kind of pushing that in and forcing it into the bearing. And then I'm turning the bearing, and I can feel that grease getting dragged into the bearing. There'll be a little bit of resistance. And once I hook this thing back up and run it, just the friction will kind of melt the grease a little bit and get it in there really good. Good as new, right as rain. Reinstall those a couple days when my bank account gets replenished a little bit. I'll go ahead and spring for a couple of those on the internet. If you have a WJ and you're in the market for some of these, I'll put a link in the description. Also, probably going to get another belt because this is the belt that came with it when I bought it. Yeah, there's some checking. I'm going to go ahead and buy a new belt too. And here's a pretty good practice. Just to take your belt, turn it over onto the groove side. This is a serpentine belt. You know, inspect the back side. Obviously, there was some trash that got ran through this. Probably dirt, dauber, nests. If you take and just bend this and inspect the grooves, if you see any cracks, it's time to replace it. It's not terrible, but you can see some cracking right in there, light cracks. Can you even see that? Probably not. Take your old belt, you know, that little cardboard sleeve that the belt comes in. Take your old belt, fold it up, put it in that sleeve, and then tuck it under your driver's seat. That way, if there's ever a problem, you got a spare, right? Break a belt, toss a belt, whatever, you got yourself a spare. All right, I'm gonna put this thing back together and fire it up and see if the bird went away.
A few moments later.
No more chirpy bird. Oh, well, that cost me about a half an hour of my time. And a couple of squirts out of my grease gun. And the noise has subsided. Now, admittedly, those bearings are probably toast, but I just extended the life of those for at least a week, and that gives me time to buy some new ones on the internet, probably from the land of cheap shit. That's where it all comes from anymore. And I don't have to worry about being stranded on the side of the road because my idler pulley or worse yet, the tensioner pulley decided to leave the chat. Anyway, that's all I got for today. If you like this video, smash the like button, do all the things. Comment in the comment section. Subscribe, click like, all that. Until next time, you have fun, stay safe, shoot straight, keep your powder dry. Have a splendid day. I'm gonna put my tools away. I know, I can't believe it either.